What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. I hope you're doing well wherever you're watching at today. We are actually going live to talk a little bit about real estate, the predictions that I see of what's going on in the Orlando market, as well as everywhere else across the country. And so we're going to dig into some numbers today and spend maybe 20, 30 minutes just talking about that, as well as the questions that you might have as it relates to the real estate market and kind of everything going on, life in Orlando, what's going on. So it was interesting. I was on. By the way, if you're watching live, make sure you drop down in the comments below where you're watching from. I do love to see kind of like where people are coming from local Orlando, from somewhere else in the country that's going to be, thinking about moving here or just interested in what's going on in the market because of Orlando is such a big deal. So what's going on, Guyver? Good to see you. Appreciate you checking in. So this week I was actually on Fox 35 talking a little bit about the real estate market and where we're seeing in Orlando and why there's a potential slowdown everywhere in the country, where you had 10, 15, 20 offers for every single listing. And then all of a sudden things are, slowing down a little bit. And so let me preface all of this with saying, so I've been doing this for 17 years. And I hate when I talk to another realtor and they're like, I've been doing this for so long, blah, 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 blah. But just to put this in perspective, if the market starts pulling back or falling apart, I would say, hey, my seller clients or my homeowners, would you consider selling, right? So, or if the market's still really, really strong and I believe in buying, I'll tell people I believe in buying. So either way, I plan on doing this for a really long time. And so the people that are in our comment section, I always kind of get a little bit of a chuckle because they're like, oh, you're only saying the market's not falling apart because you're a realtor. Well, no, I mean, I'm going to help people buy and sell and invest and all of these other kind of things, regardless of the market. I'm just trying to be as transparent and open with the data that I'm seeing instead of reacting more out of emotion, which is what I think a lot of people do. And so, hey, what's going on, Tony from Seattle? Good to see you. David, I hear it is pulling back in. I've got friends of mine in Utah, definitely seeing a pullback there. Hey, I made it from New York City. What's up, Joyful? Good to see you. What's up, Alex from Lake Mary, right up the road? Good to see you. Augustus, what's going on from San Diego? Appreciate you checking in. You're starting to see $100,000 price drops and 150 on some new builds. Very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about that as it relates to Orlando, right? What are we seeing here in Orlando? So here's an interesting kind of overview. I look at the market watch for Orlando, and this is kind of like the back end that realtors get to see. We get to set this up however we want. And so the way that I have this set up is that all 5 counties, everything single family, townhome, condo. So I don't put in here like timeshare. I don't put in here mobile homes. I don't take more like the core real estate products that most people know about. And so here's what's going on over the past 7 days. We have new listings, 1,232, which is about seasonably right. It's definitely higher than it was 90 days ago, but seeing a seasonal trend up in the summer is definitely normal. Here's one that's brand new though. I mean, price decreases are on the rise. And so going back to what maybe it was David said, where you're starting to see prices start to decrease, this is basically sellers that, and I have these all the time. I go on a listing presentation and I say, hey, listen, here's what we're going to do to market your home. Here's what we're going to do to help negotiate the best offer. Here's what we're going to do to kind of get you through the process. But at the end of the day, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you get to choose the list price based on the market data that I'm going to give you right now. And we go through the market data together, and I'm not going to argue with a seller because at the end of the day, most sellers know best, if they will. And so even if I've been doing this a long time, sold thousands of houses, sellers will decide ultimately what the list price is going to be. And so for the past 3-5 years, you could list it at kind of whatever you wanted, and eventually it would sell. Now the market pulls back where you have basically one buyer for every listing, and you need to price it right. If you don't, you're going to have to pull back. You're going to have to reduce your price back to reality. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. So you see, we've got 1,200 new listings, almost 1,000 new pendings at the same time, which would essentially mean that we have 20% more listings on than buyers. And again, going back to supply and demand, if we have more supply than demand, then prices will pull back. That's just kind of like economics, right? Now, the big thing to think about is this a market crash? Is this I think it's funny when people say the market's going to plummet. What does that mean? Is that says if you look back in, let's see, historically, where do we round out at? The average home in 2008 dropped 33% during the last recession. which is still a ton of money, right? I mean, I don't want to say that's like a small amount of money, but 33%. And that was because we had a job crisis, a mortgage crisis, there were so many factors that kind of screwed us up in the last market. So let's break those kind of few things down. And I'm going to talk about brunch spots in Winter Park. You should definitely go check out Briar Patch over on Park Ave. That's like my favorite. What's going on, Joanne Foster from the UK? Good to see you. What's going on from Jenna from Winter Garden? Good to see you. Good to see you. Mr. Jeremy, how are you, sir? So let's talk about those items right there, right? So jobs, mortgages, foreclosures, and then the overall real estate market. And how does that have to do anything with the recession that we're currently in? Now, a lot of people will say we're not in a recession. I do believe that we are. With inflation the way that we are, the pullback in the markets for 2 solid quarters, actually going on 3 quarters, technically that's a recession. And so what does that mean? So we look at a few things that I think are really important. The job market. People can't afford the houses they're in, they lose their job. That's a bad thing, right? So you've got the job market is still hot for now. We're seeing this quite a few for now is what a lot of people are saying in the news. But layoffs hit record low in April as employers try to keep their existing workforce. Job openings and voluntary departures were at an all-time high. And workers have considerable leverage according to economics. So like I found literally dozens of these things in regards to the job market. So I'm not so much worried about the job market. Now, what about equity, right? In 2004, 2007, people were taking on these loans that were 110% of the loan to value. They were putting nothing down. They were doing a 2-1 ARM, which that basically means that they had a fixed rate for 1 year. And typically that was like 1 or 2%. And then after 2 years, the rate jumped up to 7-8%. And they were qualifying people on that 2%. And so when the rates jump up to 5, 6, 7, they just couldn't afford it. So foreclosures kind of go through the roof, right? So let's figure out where we're at in terms of real estate. So one of the things that I would say is right now, there's actually been no time in history that we've got recorded that there's actually been more people with more equity. The average mortgage holder in the United States right now has $185,000 in home equity. That's up $48,000 just from 2021. And so many people will say to me, well, it's just unsustainable. Like prices are way, way, way too high. Well, if you look at specifically the historic medium average, when you kind of take in all things considered, inflation, all of that kind of stuff, we're almost exactly where we're supposed to be right now. And so I'm kind of like trying to find these data points of like, if I was an investor, because I am, and I'm helping people buy and sell all the time because I am, do I feel like we're seeing some market crash? Are we seeing something that is really something that's quite scary? No, I don't. I think we're kind of returning back to reality. And to me, that's actually very exciting. As a real estate agent, as a homeowner, I want stability. I want that 3 to 5% appreciation every year, not the 20% that we saw last year. That makes sense? California Dreaming, CM from Epcot, cast member, what's going on? How are you? Good to see you. Star from Winter Garden, appreciate you checking in. When in doubt, go back to motivation. It's true. Late notification, YouTube. No, that was my bad. I kind of jumped on. We're getting back to more produced videos, but we're also going to be doing a lot more lives. Some of them I will give you like a week in advance, and other ones we're popping on just to say hi. But yeah, just trying to get as much content and actually like up to date information as possible, because as these news stories break out, it's kind of an interesting thing to look for. Like, where are the data points? How can I be a more educated consumer? And that's what my goal is for you. What's going on from Dr. Phillips? Good to see you. Cheese grits and banana pancakes. Where's that at? Where did I miss this from? Anyways, today, what's going on, Peter? Good to see you. Favorite restaurants at Disney Springs and Universal's. My favorite at Disney Springs is the Boathouse. The Hangar Bar next door to it, though, also fantastic. Great, like snacks, drinks, atmosphere. It's kind of like the three hit combo. There's a lot of good stuff at Disney Springs, like a ton of good stuff. It's hard to go wrong. Bachelorette party booked our house in Encore. They wanted to know what to do. Is there more than just drinky poos at Epcot? At Encore, they wanted to know what to do. Oh, there's like, yeah, tons and tons of stuff to do, obviously, in Orlando. Speaking of Encore, though, I thought you might actually enjoy this there. Hey, howdy, hey. So they've got a new Reunion West developer plans new hotel next to Encore Club, which I think is going to be a really big one for that area, because up and down Sinclair is kind of a nightmare, unfortunately, with driving. But other than staying Airbnb wise in the neighborhood, there's really not a ton of like great hotels in the Reunion area. It's mostly short-term rentals and Airbnbs. And so here's where they're going to be putting it, kind of right next to, right inside the neighborhood. So it's going to be, you've got the pool area, all that over here. You've got Old Lake Wilson Road up and down there, and it's going to be inside the neighborhood. So I think this actually just brings more and more eyeballs to the neighborhood. I think it's a good thing. But let me know what you think, having owned a house right there. I'm curious what you think, man. Hey, what's going on? Good to see you. Maryland, my Maryland. Let's see. Get a loan officer at the same time. Credit reports look bad. While you guys focus on housing bubble, I see debt bubble. Average car payment is $712. I saw a report the other day that that there's like 12% of America that has a car note of over $1,000 a month, which for the first time ever, right? But I think that a lot of that goes back to inflation. Like cost prices of cars are going up, cost prices of everything are going up, and people are jumping in on the debt bubble quite a bit. Are you finding contingencies on selling your current home are back on the table when buying a new build? We are looking down there in the next 6 months and the builders won't accept any. So I think that most builders are back in the game of feeling much more confident in taking things like you're offering right now. They're looking to get more and more deals done. A lot of builders are reaching out to us and saying like, hey, our prices are kind of the same, but now maybe we're going to offer some financing contingency or financing incentives. One of them I talked to this week, they were willing to basically buy down your rate by 2%, whatever that is at the time of closing, which I thought was pretty great. I don't think rates are really going to go up much higher than 6.5% probably over the next year. I do think that by this time next year, we'll probably be back in the 4s somewhere. That's all speculation just based on conversations I've had with a million mortgage brokers and people high up at these companies. All that being said, builders are getting a little bit more aggressive trying to get your business. And so if one says no, then let's go to the next one, right? And unless you just love that builder, that model, that neighborhood. But there's enough variety in Orlando that you probably could find something similar not too far away. And there's enough hungry builders out there that want to keep selling 8 to 10 houses a month. And so, make sure you reach out. Definitely work on that for you. Yeah. So is it worth paying $5,000 for 1 year for new construction, or am I better using the money to buy down the rate at closing 10 to 12 months from now? I mean, so buddy, I think that right now, again, crystal ball what it is. Am I perfect? No. So far, my guesstimates have been right on. But a year from now, I think interest rates are probably here or lower than they are. So I know that if you want to lock in for certainty, that $5,000 up front, most lenders for builders, and I know where you're at, I believe. So Taylor Morrison will say you pay that 1 point up front, but we credit to you as long as you close. That just puts you in a really safe, comfy spot to know exactly where you're at. If you can afford the 5% or 5.5%, then go with that. Lock it in today. So you just have a really comfort feeling over the next year. You're not anxiety ridden on what goes on with the interest rates. You're just good. And then if you close and interest rates have dropped, you could always refinance, 6 months later. Not a big deal. So that's what I would do in today's market. Let's see. My camera's out of focus. Ooh, that looks about perfect right there. Hopefully you're good, man. Hopefully that looks a little bit better. All right, cool. We love a hotel coming as long as it's upscale. Yeah, I think it's going to be. I mean, it's the same developers as your neighborhood, so I would hope that it's not like a Hampton Suite, or maybe a Hampton Suite's fine, but like whatever, like one of the value hotels are going to be. I would think that they want it to be pretty nice, especially if that same developer has anything to do or anybody to think about, like the main Reunion hotel or condotel, which is really nice and obviously kept up really, really well. Yeah, Trip, this one, marry the price, not the interest rates. So what are the questions you guys have? I really wanted to just pop on and talk about real estate and where I see things going in regards to this kind of what's up. Here's one thing I had talked about. People were saying, oh, well, foreclosures are up, right? So the federal foreclosure moratorium is over. What Florida homeowners should expect next? So this was like August 4th, 2021. And so people are saying, well, hey, listen, foreclosure rates have started going up. That's absolutely true, because you had people in 2020 and 2021 that just didn't pay a mortgage payment. And then all of a sudden, foreclosure moratorium, where they just literally couldn't get foreclosed on, was over. It takes a few months, sometimes 3 to 6 months, to get the foreclosure to get processed. And so right now we should start to see a slow build of foreclosures back to normal. And at any given time, I think it was like one for every 4,000 houses in Florida was going into foreclosure like every month. So that's, as long as we don't bump up too high over that, we should be good. And here's the thing to think about. If you're in foreclosure, like if you're watching this and you're just trying to get an update and you're like, oh, I'm kind of behind on my payments, or I'm not sure where I should be, you probably have a lot more equity than you would have thought. And so to me, it's like, I don't see how foreclosures become a really big thing unless the market did pull back 20 or 30%. But as of right now, we have so many people with equity, and the mortgage companies required more down payments from people for the past 5-6 years because they didn't want to cause another 2008, that there's more equity than ever, more solid home buyers than ever. But if you find yourself in that spot, don't think that you don't have options. So make sure you reach out. Call J. Michael. He'll know what to do. This is so weird. Let's see. Here we go. Real tight. That's out of focus. That's in focus. Whoop. There we go. Boom. All right. Celebration, Lake Nona, Wellness Way, Horizon West. Ken, where would you invest townhomes for rental? So I personally have a townhome in Lake Nona because I believe that the rental market there is going to be really strong, regardless of what goes up and down with the market. And I also believe in the appreciation of the area. That being said, townhomes in Lake Nona are expensive now, right? And so depending on your price point, your down payment, where you want to be long term, then I would probably consider like a Claremont Wellness Way, because I think that area still has plenty of upside. That would be me. What areas do I think that have the most potential for growth going forward? I think that's, I still think that it's probably that Claremont strip, just because it's so low key right now. And that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, that's going to be sort of an it area, in my opinion, like up and down 27. As you get farther and farther out, hard to say, but I would definitely check that out. Julie says, any updates on Sunbridge? Does financing, earnest to debt to income ratio work for new construction to secure a lot? I've noticed a lot more tagged REO pre-foreclosures on Zillow. So any updates on Sunbridge? So we've actually had our first team closing in Sunbridge this week. So these are people that we helped a year ago or 6-7 months ago, finally closed. And so things seem to be moving on quite quickly. They're already selling in phase 2, and they're predicting people that in phase 2 will be moving in like 13 to 14 months right now. But yeah, it's definitely moving forward. Plenty of dirt over in the marina area. I got to try. I did ask for an update on the marina, because I think that once the marina's built, retail's in, that place really will skyrocket. So much like Claremont, I think that St. Cloud, Sunbridge area has definitely a growth potential area as well, especially as new roads are coming down over there. They're investing a lot into the area. Employer set me up on a home tour and I was assigned a realtor, didn't sign anything. He's nice, but he's not meeting our needs. How do you navigate that awkward situation of switching realtors? Yeah, I mean, so as long as you didn't sign anything, right? I want to be super respectful. I don't want to steal any realtor's business ever. But if your doctor, your attorney, your mortgage person, or your realtor are not living up to your standards, you should have choices. And so as long as you didn't sign anything on the dotted line, you're able to reach out. Use somebody. Use us. What's up, Ken? Writing from my office in Lake Nona. What's going on, Charlie? I work for a home builder, and definitely we adjusted the base prices and we upped buyer incentives. There you go. That's right on, dude. I think it's what's wild about so many builders is that they adjusted prices up so fast. But then here's what I'm finding, Charlie, and you can agree with this or not, or let me know down in the comments below. But because you have so many people that are under contract in your pipeline, you're not going to want to mess up appraisals a year from now when those people are ready to close. And so pullbacks on pricing, at least advertised pricing, I haven't seen a ton from most builders. Now I've seen lot premiums come down. I've seen more incentives, but I haven't seen like that many base price kind of comments come down. Yeah, what's up, editor? So, I talked about the grow a little while ago. They got approved, and they also have financing in place, and then they now have chosen Pulte as their builder. And so, Pulte's, I think, a pretty good builder overall. Um, so now that they've chosen their builder, they should be moving dirt and getting going. My guess, based on permitting and everything else that I see, they probably start selling late this year, early next year for that neighborhood. Yeah, you know what, Alex? I do see a bit of a Wi-Fi blinky over there. I tried to change out my Wi-Fi yesterday, and for whatever reason, it wasn't working. So maybe it could be my Wi-Fi. I apologize about that. Let's answer a couple more questions, and I'm going to pop off for today. Which 55 and older community do I like? Depends on where you're looking. If you want to be super close to Disney, there's like Four Seasons Orlando. It's not like the Four Seasons Orlando, but they named it. It's a KHOV neighborhood. It's gated, golf, all that kind of stuff. Really close to Disney. Del Webb's new neighborhood, the Oasis over in Horizon West, super close to Disney. And then obviously you've got the Villages, which is like the most popular adult community in the world, and 45 minutes from us or so. YouTube user says, "Hi, I'm moving from Orlando to Miami. However, planning on the renting first and then home buying. Will we work remote? What would be the best area to buy in a new development? We are willing to wait." Man, that's such a loaded question. Such a loaded question because like I don't know what you like to do. I don't working from home is great. It gives you lots of options, but like depending on your price, depending on everything. Orlando, the amazing thing about it is like 30% of all the houses here are new construction. So depending on what your price point is, what you're going after, what you like to do, your world's your oyster. So make sure you reach out and we can help kind of help you out. Charlie says you're correct. Yeah, regarding protecting appraisals, prices we increased. Yep. Kind of wild how that works. I remember even in 2008, base prices continued to go up with most builders, but then a lot of times incentives also increased. And so it was funny because every 3 or 4 houses that they sold, the head builder said, "Hey, we need you to raise the price because, hey, even the market, even if it was crappy, we still need to keep those prices going up." And we would give lot incentives, design incentives, financing incentives, all those kind of things. So it's like this big, it's kind of this big game, honestly. Oh, it's wild. Annette says, "Hey, from the cloudy and cool Chicagoland area. What's going on, Annette?" Tim from NYC, hoping to be in Orlando soon. Let's go, Bree. I'm going to Bree's baby shower this afternoon. She's one of my favorites. I love Bree. Hopefully, it looks like my Wi-Fi finally picked up and it's looking significantly better. So hopefully that's looking better. Hey, this is there we go. Adnan. Anyways, I'm saying that wrong. I'm curious what employer you work for. If you don't want to say in the comments below, shoot me a message on Instagram or shoot me an email. I'm kind of curious. We have a whole department on our team that are helping people in the whole relocation process, where we're giving like lifestyle tours and all that kind of stuff for free for these companies, and just sort of always looking for more companies that we can help. I know I missed a bunch of these. Going back. Yeah, it looks great. Thank you so much. It looks so much better. Oh, that's good to hear. All right. So somebody says, "What do I think about investing in the Davenport area?" And another person, maybe 5 comments up, also asked, "Ken, what do I feel about investing in living in the Davenport area?" So I think depends on what you want to do. If you're thinking about short-term rentals, Davenport's a great place to do it. Just don't go too far away. You got to put yourself in the mindset of somebody that's going to use an Airbnb. Are these people going to kind of come in and want to drive 45 minutes to the parks? Probably not. And so the closer you can get to the parks in Davenport, the more expensive the house is going to be, but then also better on the Airbnb. Now, if you're going to live there personally, then also thinking all of that into consideration, like the farther deeper you get into Davenport, there's just not a lot of like creature comforts, like services, Publix, like retail just yet. That's getting better. It's getting a lot better. But the farther you go out, the more you feel like you're living in the country, and the prices are set accordingly. Like it's not cheap, but it's definitely less expensive than some of the more popular areas that we've been talking about today. Sunbridge, Claremont, Horizon West, Lake Nona, like those prices are all going to be more expensive than the majority of Davenport. So yeah, I think it's great on the up and coming space. Eventually, I-4 will get expanded and make that area a little bit easier to get in and out of. But right now, it is a bit tougher, and you pay less because of it, right? So as long as you're cool with that trade off, let's go. Moving from Evans, Georgia to Oviedo in September, been building for 11 months now. Well, welcome to Orlando. David says, traffic 6 sucks. Yeah, getting to Davenport, Old Lake Wilson, or I-4 gets backed up. This is correct. Apopka to Orlando is easy. I mean, especially with the new exits on and off, like the 429, everything else, Kelly Park, that whole area, super easy to get on and off of. Used to be a little bit tougher. And so I think that's one of the many reasons that Apopka is doing well right now, just because it's a little bit easier. Quentin says, what happens if my new build doesn't appraise? It's due in October, November of this year. So, Quentin, you have in your contract essentially that if you don't get a mortgage financing piece towards the end, that maybe you could get out. Every builder is a little bit different, but most will say if it doesn't appraise, you still need to move forward. That's what the contract says. Now, will they want to work with you potentially, depending on how the market looks in October, November? Probably. But if it doesn't appraise, they're going to be looking at you to come up with the difference, just like on a resale. But again, every builder is a little different. Times are changing. If this was 6 months ago, I would have told you if it didn't appraise, they would have said, sorry, we'll just sell it to somebody else and keep your deposit. But obviously things have changed in the past month and a half. Charles says, is it worth my time to keep content updated on site like Zillow updates changes on our home? Not really. I mean, unless you're looking to sell it. And even once we like list your house, Zillow gets kind of washed and we update it ourselves anyways. But really doesn't, I mean, Zillow's a tool for them to sell ads. That's really it. So for you as a personal homeowner, like, does it affect your home's value? Or, it doesn't matter. Literally, I've seen Zillow estimates swing $100,000 in 24 hours. So it doesn't so much. It's a great place to start looking for a house. And that's about it. Spencer and fam, greetings from Milwaukee. Still looking for Newkins, still looking at communities with resort amenities near Walt Disney World. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few of them here. I mean, we're kind of built for this here locally, to see a ton of like resort amenities in our neighborhoods. It's quite cool. Reach out, man. Happy to help you, Spence. Lauren says, I'm looking to buy in Lake Nona. I love the bike paths. Yeah. And like the whole linear park that's coming over there. There's so many cool things coming to Lake Nona that I think you're going to really enjoy. I had Chroma. I don't know why it took me so long to eat at Chroma, but I had it yesterday and it's like tapa style right there in town center. It was fantastic. Like amazing food. I ate a little bit too much. But yeah, one of my faves. Melissa says that traffic in Orlando is non-existent when you live in Miami. One of the top reasons we're moving to Orlando. Yeah, I mean, I think I-4 is a nightmare. Like, there's no way around it. The I-4 Ultimate, once you get above Dr. Phillips, you can take I-4 Ultimate and skip the downtown traffic. But for the most part, if you have to use I-4 every day, it's the worst. Outside of that, I don't think we have traffic issues very much. I don't run into traffic on a daily basis unless I've got to use I-4. Oh, you're working with Liz. That's awesome. Liz is so like attentive and like she's a fantastic agent. Thoughts on Mattamy homes. So Mattamy is an interesting builder because depending on the neighborhood will depend on their quality level. And so it's going to be neighborhood to neighborhood. What they're building in Celebration, I've actually been very impressed with. I think the quality there is fantastic. I think Disney also required them to level up their standard finishes. There's other neighborhoods there that they're just like a okay builder. Like, they got caught up very similarly to almost every builder, which was lack of trades, lack of labor, lack of supplies, and kind of got in that whole like trying to push the boundaries as fast as possible. And so some neighborhoods suffered for that. And so that's why it's important, like if you're going to build new, that like you're checking in on your house throughout the stages of the process, asking your builder, like, can we get a home inspection prior to drywall going up? And then again at the end. Some builders said, no way, you can't do that. Other ones are starting to allow us to do that again. I'd still say it's about 50-50. So, yeah, but overall, on the whole, I think they're a good builder. Yeah. So this is Greg. This is probably the last question that I am going to wrap up with today. So, and hopefully the Wi-Fi. I got to figure out why that's new Wi-Fi, not great service. All right. So, are you seeing new home buyers able to negotiate before closing, maybe free upgrades or paid closing costs? Unfortunately, the answer is no. And here's why. So many buyers locked in. I had this conversation at least a half dozen times in the past 2 weeks with clients that are like, hey, I noticed that um, so and so builder, they're offering $10,000 in closing costs. We didn't get $10,000 in closing costs. And I'm like, yes, that's correct. Because 6 months ago, when we locked you in, prices were 500. Now prices are 575. And those people paying 575 get the $10,000 in incentive. You get the $75,000 in equity. Which one would you rather have? And that's my opinion, but then it's also what the builders are saying as well. They're like, listen, we negotiated a price, we negotiated a deal. If you want it, close. If you don't, we'll keep your deposit and you guys can move on. And so that's kind of what they're saying. Like, the new incentives are because prices have gotten so high. If you locked in a year ago, the incentive you got is the equity that you'll close with. And so that's the difference right now. Tapping in Ken from Alaska on talk, missing my Space Coast. Man, Winston, I thought you live from Alaska heading to, I thought you live here, yeah? Missing your Space Coast. We had, I think it was a Falcon 9 launch yesterday. It's pretty dope. What's going on from Spain? Don't be sorry. I appreciate you checking in. I'm buying duplexes, Charles, everyone that I can find. We're actually direct mailing, looking for sellers in the downtown corridors where good duplexes exist. I think it's a great buy. There's just no builders offering new duplexes. And so you have to find some areas that are a little bit older. Downtown Winter Garden has some of them. Downtown Orlando has a lot. And so like the Soto area, Delaney Park, some of these other areas have these little guys, these little duplexes. I think they're fantastic. I'm going to look at fiber internet literally tonight because of this. But anyhow, that's all I got. I've got a quick 30-minute show today. I appreciate your guys' engagement. Wanted to give an update on the real estate market. And here's the deal. If it starts trending one way or the other, I'm going to let you know, because if you're a seller, you want to know what am I up against? If you're a buyer, you want to look, hey, I've got options now. And here's the crazy thing. Many buyers don't understand that this could actually be a great opportunity, because 60 days ago, you couldn't have got a house. You would have been still renting because you would have been against 10, 15, 20 other offers, many of them cash, many of them waiving appraisal. And now we've got buyers that are like, shoot, I plan on living here for the next 5 to 10 years. I don't care what happens to market values going up, going down. I want a place to live where my landlord doesn't raise the rate every year, right? And so depending on where you're at, I'm going to be as crystal clear as I can, giving you guys data-driven decisions, and then we can make some stuff happen together. So anyways, if you're looking to buy or sell a house, my team and I, we'd love to help. info@pozekgroup.com is our email. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Talk soon.